Hi stamping friends, it's Sherry Parker coming to you on Wednesday, February 28th. It's not the last day of February, it's actually tomorrow, a leap year, and which also means we have one extra day of celebration with our big Stampin' Up! Promotion every year. So you have one more day to take advantage of the freebies. For every $50 you spend, you get a free item. So it's a really good time to stock up. I've been saying that the last several weeks, but again, it's the best time of year to buy stuff. So I've stocked up and you have one more day. So anyway, thank you for joining me tonight. We're going to do some stamping tonight. Not sometimes I do more stamping, less stamping. Tonight will be a lot of stamping. And so I just wanted to mention that we've got some online exclusives that will be coming next week, March 5th. So I showed a sneak peek last week. There's a zinnia one that's really pretty. I made this little card and showed everybody. The paper, the stamps, everything is just gorgeous. So I hope you'll take a look at that in March. There are some online exclusives currently available that are awesome. So I will turn my camera over and I will show you one that was really popular. I made it, it's called Happy Houseplants, and I made it for Stamp Camp just to show the variety of the kits that we offer. And I think everyone fell in love with it because it's so easy to make and really cute. So let me turn the camera over. Okay. Hopefully you can see my table okay, but so the Happy Houseplants, it's a kit that comes with 4 frames, which, I mean, right there, you get the frames, and then all of the supplies to make 4 plants. And this is super simple. I made this in about 15-20 minutes, not even kidding. So I'll show you the plants. So really cute. And again, the frames are nice. They've got a hinge here so you could hang it, or you could even prop it up. So it'd be really cute as a grouping. There's 4 different house plants and they're all really cute. So this is actually available now. So if you go to my website, sherrythomas.stampinup.net, you can find them there under online exclusives. So if you go into the shop and then online exclusives, they'll be there, you know, amongst other things too. And then starting in next week, there'll be some additional items. So really good stuff. Want to make sure I mention that. So tonight we're going to be making a couple of cards using this Hills of Tuscany. This is a stamp set that is in the mini catalog. It's on, I think, page 20. Yeah, page 20. And it might be one that maybe you've noticed or maybe you've skimmed by it. I think sometimes these scenery stamps scare people a little bit because it almost feels like you have to be artistic or whatever. So, but the beauty of our catalogs is that you get some sample ideas there. And I know when I saw this stamp set, I knew I had to get it because, well, I mean, Tuscany is on my bucket list, but also I love just the watercolor effect of this stamp set. So I went ahead and I got it, and we made a card at Stamp Camp, this card here, using the set. And so tonight I'm going to show you this card along with another card idea using the same stamp set, 2 different looks. But I wanted to show you how easy it is to create a little picture. And while these are beautiful cards, you could also make really pretty framed art too. So I was just showing you the houseplants. You could do framed art, just making little scenic images here. So I wanted to kind of share this with you. Sometimes I do a lot of stamping, sometimes I'm doing designer series paper, but in this particular case, I thought I would show you how to build a scene using these scenery stamps here. And then I'm making these 2 cards tonight, but I also made this card. I thought this would be a really cute congratulations card for someone who just bought a house. I know several of my friends are realtors, and what a fun, hey, you bought your house, congratulations, cute little card idea. Same scenery. So we'll get started, and the first card I'm going to make here is one that we did at Stamp Camp, which I mentioned. Hey Ruth, thanks for watching. And we we made a little scene here, and then we made a frame that basically covers it up. So we'll show you how we did that. So it's really, really simple. And I know it can be intimidating when you're building a, scene, or like, where do I start? So for Stamp Camp, what we did is I put this together, which is pretty much a step-by-step on how you can easily make a scene. So for this particular card, we're stamping our greeting first, and then we're going to start with the hill and then build from there. So let's get started. And I've got a lot of ink pads out tonight, so hopefully I don't mix up the colors. You never know. But for this one, we're going to stamp the greeting first. So the Hills of Tuscany stamp set has some really pretty greetings. You're in my thoughts, wishing you peace, things like that. So it's a very versatile stamp set, and we're going to do this thinking of you card right now. So stamped our greeting, and then the first thing we're going to do is we're going to work from the bottom up, and there's a hill, kind of this hill image. We'll stamp in this Granny Apple Green, and we're going to stamp it towards the bottom. Now keep in mind that the frame is going to cover up part of it. So, we'll start there. And then what we'll do is there's a little highlight, kind of bushes or whatever, and we'll stamp that in Garden Green right on top. And then again, if you stamp, a second time, it's a little bit lighter, so it gives you a little bit of depth. So what we've done so far is we've done this and then that. And now we'll add the house, the trees, and before you know it, you've built a whole picture. So yes, Sandy, I know. So this is one of those, I think it's easy to pass by in the catalog because you think, and maybe it's because I am longing to go to Tuscany, but I thought it was really pretty, and it's very simple to create some cute cards or decor items, things like that. So once we've got our hill, we'll go ahead and stamp the house. And I've got Cajun Craze here. So we're going to stamp it into the hillside a little bit like that. And then the rooftop, using Pecan Pie ink, we will stamp looks like my house might be a little tilted, but it's okay. It's leaning a little bit, no worries. And then the next thing we'll do is stamp our trees. And these trees, this is how I picture Tuscany, the tall, thin trees. We're going to stamp those in Mossy Meadow. Maybe I'll add another tree over here to kind of hide my slanted house. And then last but not least, we'll add a sun. So that's really all the stamping we're going to do. And then last little touch is we will sponge the sky, just to give it a soft blue. And I'm using the Balmy Blue. And just little touches. You could go darker if you wanted. Just put a few little touches there. So there's our scenery. And so you can see how simple it is to build a scene, just step by step. It doesn't have to be complicated. So we've got our scene there, and the next thing I'm going to do, oh, hey, Bridget, thank you. I know, these are really fun. So I cut a 1/4 sheet of cardstock in the Granny Apple Green, and then I used the Nested Essentials die. So I use this die here, and I cut out the middle, so I made a frame. So if you think about it, sometimes you make Christmas cards with pictures and things. This would be a really simple way to do that. You just create a frame, and then what you cut out actually looks like this, and it has a nice little dotted edge there, and it could be a tag or even just another embellishment on a card. So I went ahead and I cut that out so you didn't have to watch me struggle. And then I also ran it through the embossing folder, and I used that real pretty exposed brick 3D embossing folder. And it's just a real nice, it gives it just nice texture. So that's what I used here on this. I used some white ribbon, and now I'm going to assemble the card. So to make the card, I've got Stampin' Dimensionals, and sometimes what I do is I cut them in half. So a sheet of the dimensionals looks like this, and then I'll just slice them right down the middle. And that gives you some thinner little pieces here. And those are really nice for smaller areas. And we do sell the mini dimensionals, which are nice too. But I like doing this because it gives me versatility. So I have big and small and in one pack just by cutting them. So I'm going to attach this to my frame. Just peel these off. And we'll adhere the frame to the front. And for the ribbon, I just tied it around and then made a knot there in the front. So nothing too elaborate there. So I did that, and you can see, it gives it some dimension, almost like you're looking out a window. And then finally, I will put a dimensional, and I'll use a big one for the big part of the card. And I will put one on all four corners. And then the card base is crushed curry here. So it's a nice, pretty yellow. And we'll center that on to the front. And there you go. So you've created a nice little scene. It could be frameable for a card, but really easy and nice and fun. So that was the card, like I said, we made at Stamp Camp. And I was playing around with the stamp set, and of course I'm a sucker for sunsets, and I love just the beauty and the simplicity of a couple different colors together to make a nice little scenery image. So what I did for this one is I used, you might be familiar with, this is the Thoughtful Expression dies. It comes with these wonderful shapes as well as like a hummingbird and some different shapes. So I used the large kind of like tag looking shape, and I cut out in white that piece there. And that's going to be the focal point of this card. So I will put this over to the side here and we'll get started. So we're going to be using some of the same stamps we just used. I'm going to clean them off real quickly here because this color scheme is definitely different. This is more of a subdued kind of sunset looking, let's see, where's my trees? Clean those off. So for this card, and before I do anything, I should probably close a few of these ink pads because we all know I'm a little messy and I'll be dropping stuff in the ink pads and it won't be very pretty. So we'll just move those out of the way. So for this card, we're using three colors. We're using Lost Lagoon, Pretty Peacock, and Petal Pink. Oh, and we're also using the Daffodil Delight for the sun. So, okay, same scenario where we're going to be building our scene, and we'll start with the hillside. So this is the big hill image, and using the Lost Lagoon ink, we'll put that down at the very bottom. Now this one will be exposed, unlike the other one that we'd be covering up. So I went all the way down to the bottom there. And then one of the stamps I didn't use on the last one, this is an additional, like a background hill. So I'm using the Pretty Peacock and just kind of nestling that right behind there. And it looks like it's a hill right behind it. And then really I'm going to do some trees. I've got in this particular set, there's a grouping of 4 trees and then a grouping of 3 trees. So we'll start with the 4 trees. And then we'll do the 3 trees more in the foreground. I'll add a sun here. And then we'll make our sunset. So put the sun kind of off to the side like that. And then to make the sunset similar to what we did before, we're going to sponge and we're going to use the Petal Pink. You know when you're watching a sunset and the colors are so pretty, there's yellows and oranges and pinks. So the Petal Pink will be kind of the base color. And then at the very top, because you know how at sunset it gets some darker, I grabbed the Calypso Coral and we'll give it just a little bit more of that depth. So you've got your sunset. How simple is that? And then for the card, the same colors that I just stamped with, I have petal pink for the base, and then I've got a piece of the pretty peacock quarter sheet, and then trimmed down even more the Lost Lagoon. And this one I ran through the quatrefoil tile embossing folder, this one here, which is another one that gives nice texture. So that's what's on there. So we'll go ahead and assemble the card. And really it's mostly Stampin' Dimensionals, but I did go ahead and I glued this piece to the pretty peacock here. And then I raised the rest of the card, oops, with Stampin' Dimensionals to the card base here. So we'll just put a dimensional in each corner. This is one of those things I think sometimes people think, oh, you know, I need to add a bunch of these to make sure the card stays together. But these are super strong. Even for a whole card front, one in each corner is plenty. And then I even use fewer than that for this piece here. I'm just gonna put one on each side. So yes, I know, Ruth, it is a little intimidating. I think it looks intimidating when you see them in the catalog that, oh, you got to be artistic to put something like this together, but you really don't. I think if you just think of it as a foundation, you start with your ground, add your trees, maybe a house or what have you, and before you know it, you've got a nice little pretty picture. So I wanted to add a little ribbon, of course, and I've got the Lost Lagoon linen-y ribbon here, as well as that petal pink ribbon that's in a duo in the main catalog. So I tied them together to make one bow, and I will put that in the corner. And then last, to add a greeting there, I just took a strip of, I had, you know, we all have scraps lying around, and I took just a little strip of white paper that I had lying around, and that same greeting that we used in the last card, so you're in my thoughts, we'll stamp it on here. Hopefully it's kind of straight. And then all I did is I just trimmed it off. Nothing too fancy there. You could use like an end punch or border punch if you wanted. But just doing a zigzag like that, an angle is nice too. And then I will go ahead and put a couple dimensionals. And I'm using the half dimensionals that I was telling you about, how I cut them in half. We do this for stamp camp too. I know some of you come to stamp camp. So it helps you get more mileage out of your dimensionals. I'm all about trying to be resourceful. So, all right. So how simple is that? Again, those are the two cards we made tonight. A little bit different scenes, sunset, just landscape, and then another one with a house. And as I said, I know I saw Cheryl saying, this would be great for your client, Cheryl. So, congratulations on your new home. So, you know, it's not necessarily a house set, but you can make any scene that you want and make it your own. So, all right, and this particular card here uses the celebration paper as well as ribbon. So these are available for free until tomorrow. So you can't go wrong with that. Okay, well, that was really it. I wanted to share this fun Tuscany set with you. I hope someday I can get there. That's my dream, is to get to Tuscany someday. But if you comment on this video or share it, your name will be entered to win one of those cards that I made tonight. And we had winners last week. I did a Facebook Live on Monday, and we had Gilda and Marilyn were the winners. I mailed their cards out to them, so hopefully they received those. But I do appreciate you joining me tonight, and I would love to see any scenery cards or stamped art or anything that you make, and just have fun with it. Don't be intimidated and just try it, because you can look like an artist and you really don't have to be. You just use the stamps and they'll be the artist for you. So thank you for joining me. Have a great night and a great rest of your week. Take care. Bye.